What up, my freaks? RuinusInsight here with part 32 of my Total War Warhammer 3 modded Archaon the Everchosen campaign. So as we saw last time, with Conquest conquered and whatever other territories Be'lakor held, up north Be'lakor's faction has joined ours, and we'll be able to get him on the field in 5 turns to help out with either Bretonnia or Ulthuan. Frankly, it's looking more like Ulthuan because Bretonnia is an absolute shambles right now, by the looks of it, thanks to the vampires and Taurox and the broken Axe-Orcs that we'll still have to deal with those guys as well. Anyway, it's nice that we have nearly completed our journey to become a Pokemon Master, and we'll have Festus on the field, or maybe not on the field, but at least confederated and within 5 or 6 turns as well. That vassalization of him was pretty clutch in preventing his destruction at the hands of Azhag. Speaking of Azhag, he is in range of Archaon as well, so I guess we will be acquiring the defeat trait for him. After all, in fact, we'll be doing so very, very shortly. And in terms of what we gotta do this time, I guess we're moving through the remnants of Azhag's territories and down south, and ooh, I noticed that there's a rebellion down here, so we might be able to destroy him relatively quick. Siggy has a lot to do here. Ideally hunt down Eltharion, probably deal with more elves. There's more elves down here and probably more coming. Speaking of a coming, between the episodes I went to the diplomacy screen and managed to vassalize the cult of pleasure. It took all of our money, as well as declaring war on Hexoatl, but at the end of the day, it's worth our time. That said, Morathi is very much in trouble. It looks like the Lizards and the High Elves and Clan Gritus, by the looks of it, Clan Gritus rebels, okay, are here, and she's definitely on the back foot. Fortunately, our armies are drawing closer, and even if she loses Quintex and her southern territories, we should be able to push up from the north and give her Haghall and Volzanville, because, well, the Dark Elves can build a super awesome landmark at Volzanville with that 10% reduction in upkeep. So we might as well give her some good use out. We could also give it to Naggarond, but frankly, we've given them a lot of stuff already. They don't really need any more, do they? Anyway, let's get started here, shall we? Archie, you're going in first against Azhag. I am probably not going to bother leveling you. Let's head to Zavastra, and I didn't see what he has in his army, but frankly, it's Archaon's army, so it really doesn't matter what he has in his army. He's going to lose. Close victory, medium casualties, really. Against this, it's a pile of goblins. Just wondering whether this is worth fighting at all. Well, I suppose they will have the Bony Boys summoning 10 uses. Alright, so 10 units of Bony Boys, but they're effectively like zombies, so they're not going to be all that crazy. And wait, do they have a defensive structure here? They don't, which means they won't have the Biggins summoning ability. Nonetheless, I don't think this is going to be all that tough, but we can send Archie to fight or duel Azhag, and that might be worth fighting just by itself. So here we go. Alrighty, well, here we go. I have no idea what the auto-resolve is smoking with regards to this particular battle, but, well, I guess we'll use the opportunity to have Archie and just show off. He's going to get hit with a Spirit Leech as he moves in, but I don't think that will be enough to concern him, as between his spell resistance and his barrier, it's not gonna do much. Incidentally, Archaon is the only one that is moving at the current time. We've sent him alone to try to face off against Azhag while the rest of our army will wait, and Archaon, I'm sure, can dish out some damage. Plus, this way, perhaps Azhag will actually come down and try to fight rather than hanging around up there dropping gazes of Nagash. And while he does that, Archaon can maybe cast a few spells, maybe fight a few other units as well. There is a Black Orc big boss right there after all. We got a burning head moving through the ranks of enemy goblins and bony boys and whatever it is that it can reach. And I'm sure a decent bit of damage. Oh, it looks... oh my lord. Alright, so the Black Orc big boss drops from full HP to, I don't know, a quarter from like 1 or 2 hits. Yeah, he's gonna have a pretty bad day. Azhag has decided not to land, will instead drop another Spirit Leech on Archaon and finally land. Archaon will allow the Black Orc big boss to escape, or will he, popping his own Spirit Leech on him and knocking him down as he runs? Well, he faces off by he, I mean Archaon, against Azhag. Looks like Azhag wants no part of this as he charges in and then leaves Archaon on the ground below to deal with piles of gobos and whatever else. But that's just fine. At least for now. Once again, we're gonna use this to give Archie the opportunity to shine by himself here for a little bit. The gobos will have Searing Dooms dropped upon them even while Archie and Dorgar rip them apart. Looks like some bony boys moving in to try to help out, though I don't think they're going to do much more than get into his way a little bit. He is going to try to target some better units here. There are some trolls running around, and if Azhag won't land now, it doesn't mean he won't land later. So there we go, charging into the back of those trolls. And hopefully we'll get them engaged. Well, oh, it looks like Azhag now wants to fight. Fine, fine, fine. Another Spirit Leech on Archie. He certainly likes that little contest. And not much to say about this, we'll just have the two whack away at each other for a while, though it probably won't be that long of a while. Azhag is down to half of his HP already. Archaon's lost about 10% of his, though we can recover him with the Locus of Fecundity. I do think Archie could probably use a source of regen. But even then, it takes quite a lot of effort to damage him in really any amounts. Anyway, looks like the gobos have been sent to packing, and so has Azhag, moving away with, what, quarter of his HP remaining? Maybe a third. He will try to come back while Archie deals with some of his trolls. And it looks like the trolls are going to lose numbers pretty quick at this rate, so Azhag better land. All of these units helping him out, though, will probably not do too much either way. Hey, you come back here, Azhag. Archaon's just going to keep casting spells. I do have to wonder how many gobos he's killed at this point. About 800, not too bad, and plenty of trolls as well. And there we go, very nice. And hey, Azhag, looks like he wants to come back. He's gonna get more bony boys on the field, but that's just fine. Archie will bring down one more troll, and just because he can, and then we'll turn upon Azhag one more time. Kind of an echo of the Grimgor campaign a little bit, as Azhag did face off against Azhag did face off against Archie in that particular campaign as well. Nice. Anyway, Azhag goes down, Archie, no problem to you, sir. 110,000 damage and 800 kills to your name. And the rest of the army has not yet engaged. Balance of power is down to about 30% in the enemy's favor, while Archie heads for another unit of trolls. Stone trolls to start the day. Looks like he brought one down with his charge. And I mean, he hits hard enough to be able to knock models out fairly quickly. And that's, of course, without buffs. If we pop Slayer of Kings, and if we pop the Flaming Sword of Ruin on him as well, he, I think, hits close to 2k with both of the buffs up. But anyway. It looks like more bony boys here to get in his way, but he has Searing Dooms for days, and they won't be enough to prevent him from killing off those stone trolls. Looks like the rest of the army has found a little bit of a fight as well. We'll leave Archie to his own devices. He's already showed his mettle here, I think. A little bit of action for the Knights of Slaanesh here. who do look pretty darn awesome. I still haven't decided whether we go lances or swords for the Knights of Slaanesh and Sigvald's army. And the thing is, on the one hand, we haven't used lances. On the other hand, there's not much use to them when you have swords. The thing is, the difference in stats makes it so that the lances lose 5 melee attack and defense and gain, I think it was 15 charge or 18 charge or 20 charge, some amount of charge. But when even the units of a regular Chaos Knights with sword and board have 100 charge, the extra 20 charge or 15 charge, whatever it is, really doesn't matter all that much. So you're losing 5 melee attack and 5 melee defense, but becoming shock cavalry rather than regular cavalry, and thus have a lot less staying power on the field. Now, granted, the knights with the lances do have more armor piercing, and they are anti-large as opposed to anti-infantry. But generally speaking, I feel like you have to put in a lot more effort to get them to perform on the same level as a sword and board unit, because you can just simply forget about these guys if they're strong enough to hold their own in melee combat, whereas the lances you have to constantly waste time cycle charging and all that. And Chaos Knights are Chaos Knights. Maybe I'll do 1-1, just to compare them a little bit. I mean, I suppose if nothing else in Sigvald's army, because he has a massive pile of infantry, and a little bit of work from the javelin-wielding Marauder Horsemasters, because Sigvald's army has a pile of infantry that don't really need to be controlled over much. It would allow us to do a little bit more cycle charging with his knights, and thus perhaps better for lances. Hard to say. Anyway, looks like the battle is going very much our way after Archaon completely obliterated half the enemy army and continues to do so, dropping another burning head through the enemy lines. The enemy's will, I'm sure, was broken. And now we just gotta break the rest of their bodies as well, though that appears to be happening right now, as the enemy army will shatter and only the bony boys will remain on the field. Alright, the Knights of Nurgle looking pretty awesome as well. Who are the best looking Chaos Knights? What do you guys think? And I lost sight of the Knights of Tzeentch. They look pretty awesome as well. I mean, all the Chaos Knights look pretty darn great. And I like that they look different enough from each other to immediately be able to pick out their type or their flavor. But anyway, we're going to speed the rest of this up until the battle is over. Obviously a decisive victory, but it was never going to be anything else. Alright, there we go. Obviously that was just for fun. I just wanted Archaon to have the chance to show off a little bit. Show that, well, he commands Tzeentch's gifts too. His command of the Arcane, just as good as the Blue Scribes, and in fact he did out-damage their biggest numbers, getting 193,000 damage and nearly 1,600 kills. Frankly, he easily could have taken on the entire enemy army himself, especially after taking out the Black Orc Big Boss and Azhag and piles and piles, or 1,600 units worth of gobos and stuff, as well as several units of the enemy trolls. Basically all the elites of the enemy fell to Archaon, and if we had more time, or if we had backed up into a corner, or maybe hid the rest of the army in the trees, they might have all gone for him and he would have ground them all down. But at the end of the day, I think that was a pretty definitive showing. Anyway, nice job, Archie. Always nice job. And yeah, 200,000 damage is pretty darn good. It's the kind of numbers that Grotzlik Gitstompa was able to get in his run in the Grimgor campaign, which is always impressive. Anyway, sack the place, and yeah, we got that spell resistance for Archie, and hey, he did get hit with a couple of those, spirit leeches, so it does make sense. Now, we could reach back off indirectly if we wanted to, but I feel like we're not going to declare war on Vlad as yet. And there isn't a need. I still want to get Wintertooth, but I'm also not at the same time really sure whether I want to send Archie to do it himself, as it's a lot of distance to cover. And he has other things that he's busy with. Anyway, take Savastra, please, and occupy it. Alright, province secured, not that we really care about it. Then we'll repair Zavastra, and... okay, we're not gonna waste money build... well, actually, this stuff is so cheap that we might as well. And just build it up before we trade it. Let's go... or they've come to the wrong place here. Well, actually exploit vassals. Just for the extra movement range, if nothing else. I don't think anybody here really needs any levels, or at the very least... yeah. We can wait. Generally speaking, I level up before a fight that actually, you know, matters, where it's, where we're possibly under threatened. That it was obviously not one. Now, we have techs and we have stuff. Let's see what else we gotta do. Oh, I forgot to say this. Regarding the engagement. Now, technically, at the time of this recording, we did not, in fact, reach the engagement threshold. But judging by the episode prior to last episode, the trend suggests that it will eventually reach the engagement threshold. And eventually is good enough for me. Time has no meaning in the warp after all. So we'll do the hour long for this one. It would suck to be, it would be too much of a tease. This isn't a Nakari campaign after all, to not have the final episode, well, not the final episode of the campaign, but in terms of the little rivalry with King Lewin's campaign, to not get the hour long for this one. And, well, as long as the campaign will continue, the offer will stand. 250 likes and 40 or 45 comments, and the next episode will be an hour long as well. Anyway, Azazel, proceed to resolve this settlement garrison, please. And alright, it always rips our poor chariots apart. Sacrifice and occupy. Merly... interesting. I also noticed that the auto-resolve doesn't hate the secret chariots as much. I mean, it still hates them, but doesn't kill off as many of their units, which is funny considering they're so much more fragile. What are you doing, game? What are you doing? But nonetheless, what we need here... we still can't get them. I was thinking about getting the units that we needed right now, but alas, we still need the gift of Slaanesh in order to get these soul grinders of Slaanesh that we want in this army, but that's okay. To the plane of spiders you go, Valkia. And all the way down to Cleric Spire. I might try to vassalize Kateb just for fun. Oh, wow. Really? All of this garbage took half of the HP off all of our Cornate troops? I really don't see that happening. I mean, I'm pretty sure we could just send, I don't know, just 4 Coordinate troops and they would have minced the enemy infantry. Maybe they would have lost some units to the Ushabti and stuff, but damn. Unbelievable. Oh, I'm sack the play. Yeah, we need XP in this particular army, and hey, we got a Helm of Discord out of it, which is great. Occupy. Alright, there we go. Plane of spiders. Immediately repair it and build the obsidian. I don't really care about the obsidian, to be honest, because the 10% Marauder Horseman and Horsemaster missile strength off isn't all that useful to us right now. Even though they're great units and they are useful as units, it's just that we're not using a lot of those useful units. The words have lost all meaning, as they usually do. Gullatours, 2 Dietershofen ye shall go. How to resolve this? And oh, you're gonna have to raise this. Yeah, fine, raise it. Auto-resolve. A little bit of damage on our spawn, but we're used to that. Potion of Foolhardiness not useful to us, and I can sack it for quite a bit of money. But we have to raise it anyway, so just raise it. Huh, and he went back into his own territory. Well, that's just lovely. You have a Potion of Foolhardiness. You certainly don't need that, but whatever. Alright, now, you're heading down to the Brass Keep. We have 4 turns, alright. Might even have a turn to spare there. I guess we could stop at Lorelorn if we really wanted to. There are defenders there. Might be worth fighting. I guess we would have to declare war on the Azorks. Although at the same time, if we could force them into a war with the Golden Order, that would actually be quite nice. And they do it for free. Yeah, do it. Make them fight each other, just because it amuses us. Alright, fight for our entertainment. Then what we'll do is we'll have you occupy Dietershofen. Also, I know it's been a while that we haven't checked this. Well, I do periodically check it between the episodes. Norskins have been bloody useless. Absolutely useless as vassals. Yeah, if there's one thing I've learned between this campaign and the Valkia campaign, it's that you want all the allies, or all the vassals that are not Norskins. They make tons and tons more money. In fact, I think Malice makes more money with 4 provinces. And like 3 times as much money as the next Norskin, the best Norskin producing faction, which has way more provinces, like 2 or 3 times as much. And Malice makes 2 or 3 times as much money as they do. Norskins are useless. It's unfortunate. Makes me want to play a Norska campaign just to, you know, make them not seem so. But yeah, they're useless as vassals. And fortunately, for the entire campaign so far, we've had a lot of them, and not a single one can build any useful units either. Like, we'd want Frostworms potentially, or whatever they've been renamed to now. Ice Dragon, I don't know what they've been renamed to now, whatever. We want those guys. We want possibly Fimir just to get the Children of Chaos into a few armies, just for fun. Mammoths slash War Shrines, well, the Mammoth types of War Shrines. There's stuff in the Norskin roster that we could certainly use, but we can't build any of it, regardless of how many Norskin vassals we have, which is a bit unfortunate, but well, once again, what can you do? And I honestly don't even see the minor Norskin factions here. Do we have too many vassals now? Oh, actually, while we're here, Bloody Sword, Exalted Demon, or not Demonettes, Bloodletters are up to 55 now. Huh. It's risen again. Slaneshi giggle. I think it was at like 43 before, and we were gonna wait 1 turn to recruit them, and now they're at 55. Oh, just stop doing that game. I just want to build some more Coronade units. Anyway, Kolek. You, sir, are drawing closer. Would it be, I guess it could be faster to go like this. Oh, like this you shall go then. Alright, 1 more turn, and then you set sail for the Isthmus of Lustria. You might as well help against Exoatl. We can sort of sandwich Marathi's faction from 2 sides right now, because we have all of our forces up here, and then Kolek will arrive right here. Anyway, Kukar. Hey, you, sir. You have places to be as well, so quickly auto-resolve this little remnant of an army, which will run from you. But not to worry. Where's it gonna go on this little island? And it'll kill off no units, but it'll damage some of our units, I guess. Alright, now it'll probably take a couple turns to reach where we need to go, but that's fine. Enemy killed in battle, yada yada yada. Go into full speed stance slash march stance, and oh damn, it's gonna take a while to reach the Tower of the Stars. I wish this little faction wasn't so spread out. Honestly, go here. Oh, you're gonna suffer attrition here, aren't you? Ah, whatever. I was hoping we could get close enough to Ammon that he'd move towards us because we're in full speed stance, and he might be able to, or be willing, to fight us, but it's not looking like that's the case. Though we'll see. Anyway, Kukar, you were looking good. Siggy. Alright, so you have some interesting... You're in an interesting position right now. Let's do this. Go to Citadel of Lead. Now, like so. Auto-resolve it. Oh, it's gonna... whatever. Always hurts those poor Hellstriders. Then sack it. Sack it so that you can keep moving. Then, can you reach this little army? Yes, you can. Will Eltharion reinforce that army? Yes, he will. Fantastic. Alright, so this all works out. We could actually make these guys into Chosen, but I think I'd rather not risk it hurting our movement range, because it certainly can. Let's get Chaos Vanguard maxed out here. Root Marcher would have also helped, but, well, we're using a lot of units that benefit from Chaos Vanguard, so we damn well should make good use of them here. You can keep getting training buffs, because, well, we need to keep training. And you, sir, I still haven't decided between one of these yet. You're still going to be on the Chaos War Shrine, so Unmoving Mage will help you be a little bit tankier, but at 6% hit points, it's really not all that much. And if it was missile resistance rather than spell resistance, that would be great. Then again, you're the Shadow Caster, so your cooldown won't be nearly as valuable as it would be on the Slaneshi Caster, who can just spam Lash of Slaanesh. There's nothing really to spam in the Shadow spells, at least. not anything that I would imagine is worth spamming. There's solid spells here, don't get me wrong. And we mostly want Pit of Shades and Occam's Mind Razor, and to some degree Penumbral Pendulum will work with the line of melee troops here, but I'm not sure about the cooldown. You can go for the melee attack and defense just to make you a little bit tankier, but you know what, for now I'm not sure, so we'll just go for Power Sap. We could get Onslaught as well, because it'll buff the entire army. Why not? Let's go Onslaught. Weapon strength when attacking own armies and reach. It's not much, but between two of these guys, it'll rack up damage over time. You have Lash of Slaanesh and Blissful Rapture. I would actually like to get Phantasmagoria and Slicing Shards on the field, especially since we don't have Azazel casting like we do in Azazel's army. So we could get a few spells here. I don't really care for most of these spells. At least in terms of cost, at least in other than Lash of Slaanesh. These two spells are great. Pavane and Acquiescence and Hysterical Frenzy. It's not that they're horrible. It's just that for their cost, there would be other stuff that I'd probably guess. Especially Pavane. I've never liked Pavane. But generally speaking, the direct damage spells are kind of meh. Let's see. I guess we'll go one each in Acquiescence and Hysterical Frenzy, and then we'll move on through. Anyway, that looks good to me. We did need to get all those levels, because it is Eltharion we'll be facing off against after all, so go, go, go. Pyrrhic Victory. Nice to see. And Eltharion is level I can't tell. Oh, but he can certainly hit hard. Maybe he'll be an actual challenge for our track star here. Away we go. Let's run our way to victory. Alrighty, here we go. Siggy's ready to run once more. Though he's always been ready to run. He never really stopped running, even when we're not watching him. He's probably running somewhere. We just rename him to Tom Cruise or something. Anyway, he's gonna head into damn. I tried to get through the start of the battle without laughing at him running once, but anyway, here we go. He's gonna head directly for the enemy, hopefully to knock out the enemy Archmage of Shadows before Eltharion gets here, because we're hoping to get a nice duel between him and Elfie. The rest of our units are gonna move in, and 172 armor on the various Chaos Warriors, looking pretty darn decent. Lots of enemy range units will be annoying them, but well, we got shields, we got armor, and we got magical support. As a Penumbral Pendulum, a bound Penumbral Pendulum moves through the enemy ranks of archers, crippling 2 of their units, and we'll follow that up with a little bit of a Lash of Slaanesh as well to damage a couple more. And we'll keep on casting. And hey, not ragging on the lore of Shadows outside of the later spells. We could certainly have used another Penumbral Pendulum here as well, so, yeah. Granted, the Pit of Shades would have been more useful, but nonetheless. Anyway, the Silverin Guard and the enemy spears are attempting to hold off our Chaos Warriors, but absolutely in vain, especially as these are not Hell Scourges and they will rip through their ranks fairly quickly. Siggy is somewhere chasing after the enemy Lord, who appears to have moved away and is down to 1,000 HP, and will probably fall shortly. A couple more hits by the looks of it. And down to 13 HP, and Sigvald delivers the final blow. And with the fall of the enemy lord, the army guarding this choke point is just about out. Eltharion is on the field, but he will not be arriving on the field quickly enough to prevent us from moving through that choke point. Siggy's going to move away from the rest of the army, and it does look like Eltharion will take the bait and try to get a duel going. I always appreciate when the AI is... Siggy gets run over. I always appreciate when the AI is willing to actually fight rather than have the enemy lord sort of just run away. And is it me, or does Eltharion look just huge? What the heck? Wait. Is this something to do with the angle, or does he look like 3 times the size of Sigvald here? He looks really big. Am I crazy? Like he's the size of an ogre or something. And Siggy looks tiny. Maybe the model size is bigger because he's on a mount so that he remains more visible, but yeah, huh. I mean, to be fair, his headdress thing has always looked pretty huge, but his body looks pretty darn big as well. Interesting. Interesting, but I'm going to assume that it won't matter over much. It looks like they are relatively even right now, though it looks like Sigvald is winning according to this. And we do pop the potion of toughness to buff up his melee attack and defense, and his stats are thus much higher, minus the weapon strength. It does look like Eltharian's weapon strength is higher. That said, Sigvald has used his abilities to kill off the other lord quickly, and thus doesn't have the ability to activate them. But it might not matter over much. And ooh, Eltharian does have the Fang Sword active, so that's probably what's giving him the extra little bit of edge. Anyway, looks like Siggy is winning a little bit harder now as Eltharian drops to about a third of his HP. And is having a pretty bad day. Indeed, he will book it on out of there. As soon as he routed, I decided to pop Acquiescence and Melkot's Mystifying Miasma on him, and the hopes of lowering his speed enough to allow Sigvald to chase him down. But by the looks of it, even with both of those spells, his speed is still 91. Slower than Sigvald, or roughly even with Sigvald, but it'll allow him to escape fairly quickly nonetheless. I was hoping to drop it down to about 50. In the meantime, just like the first army, the second army doesn't stand much of a chance here. Certainly they have some silver helms and such, but in the trees where they're debuffed and on top of that fighting Chaos Warriors of Slaanesh, they just are not going to be enough. The enemy archers are pretty much all engaged and no arrows will be annoying us, though this army is a lot less threatened by various range units than, for example, Azazel's army, due to the presence of those demonettes and chariots and other units that are susceptible to range damage. Now, it does look like there's a swordsmaster and lore master rather of Hoeth in here, trying to lead the remnants of the force after Eltharian has fled the field, and flee the field he did. I think he was one hit away from dying, but did manage to lift off and escape the battle. Now that said, he's abandoned the rest of his forces to their destruction. The balance of power is at about 80% in our favor. Our heavily damaged Hellstriders from all the auto-resolves are just riding around in the background chasing enemy units down, and all of our melee troops are engaged and preventing enemy from doing really much of anything. And just a matter of ripping the enemy melee and missile infantry apart at this point. And I guess see whatever the Silver Helms can achieve, but I don't imagine it'll be all that much either. If only Eltharian had gotten here just a little bit earlier and been able to help out while the enemy still held the choke point, that would have really helped him out. Especially while we didn't have Penumbral Pendulum and Pit of Shades available to us, which we probably won't for a while yet, as we still need levels on our second Chaos Sorcerer. I really want to get Slicing Shards as well. I love the spell. It has a big old range, or not range, it has a big old area of effect, and it's just really, it's a really nice looking. Plus bombardment spells can be quite lovely as well, especially in choke points like this one, especially right to herald the arrival of our units, and things like Phantasmagoria would also be quite helpful. But anyway, it looks like with that, the rest of the army has shattered, and our troops will simply run down those that remain in the forest. It'll take a little bit of a while, but we can do the rest off screen. Alright, very nice. A heroic victory. Eltharian certainly gave Siggy a better showing than Alethanar did, who just stood absolutely no chance whatsoever in melee. And in terms of our performance here, let's see what we got. 163 kills on a unnamed unit and the Blades of Decadence. Between those two, did the best. We got 103 kills on the Mirror Garb, that's hardly surprising. And let's see, yeah, looks like those two topped out. Well, good job for them. We got, ooh, nice, 46k damage on the Chaos Sorcerer of Slaanesh, not as much on the Exalted Hero or the other Chaos Sorcerer, but not to worry, they'll work on it. And the Razor Standard is always a nice pickup. We are going to, I guess, sacrifice the captives, doesn't really matter. Eltharion will survive, if just barely, and unfortunately we won't be able to reach him or, I think, move anywhere else with Siggy. However, missile resistance 10% for all units and army. This is why Eltharion's defeat trait is one of the better defeat traits in the game, in my opinion. Anything that is a trait for the entire army rather than for just the Lord himself, other than extremely powerful single Lord buffs, is really, really strong, and the Slaaneshi army in particular can certainly use that additional missile resistance. Charge defense versus large, yeah, that doesn't really matter for Siggy, as he has charge defense against all, and his missile resistance between his other resistances is already basically maxed out. And he's gold shielded on top of that, so yeah. Alrighty, well done to you, sir. And another student, and a Chaos War Shrine. Is that for the second guy? Yeah, we got 2 War Shrines now. Very nice. Very nice. Just gotta make sure we keep them away from each other in slightly different portions of the battlefield. You can, I guess, go into raiding, because this is technically an enemy territory. I can't occupy. Now, if we land... Okay, wait, if we do this right... I hope I don't screw this up. Oh, actually, wait, stop a minute. I think I screwed that up. Siggy, yeah, you're not close enough. We need this guy to frickin' land, but there's... I guess these guys would have to go past Sigvald. I'd rather not risk it. Alright, I guess we're just gonna stay out there for now. Just gotta make sure that nobody can reach you. Go right here. These guys shouldn't be able to set sail in such a way that they can go after you. At least I hope not. Hopefully it's not Siggy blocking them that's preventing them. You know what? Go back here. Damn it. Oh, he'll get that unit to Siggy at some point. You're in full speed stance, so you shouldn't, in theory, be able to reach Conquata. At least I don't think you can, or at least I hope you can't, because we'll find out the next turn. Let's see who else needs to move. Village. You were fighting ogres, and there may potentially be more ogres to fight here. We can also take Barrack Dawazbag, whatever. There's nobody here, though. And these guys are actually building up, so maybe a benefit to do that. There'll be at least a full stack. We got a slave giant here as well, so at least they got something in terms of defenders. Some lead belchers. Yeah, alright, Village, I'm gonna hold off on you for a second. Or 3. You, sir. Oh, Tretch. Come on, man. He moved away from it, huh? Alright, I guess we'll give him one more chance. You... Just to double check, you do have Chaos Strategist? You do, good. And you have Chaos Vanguard, also good. Wait, how's our buffs for Doomfire? Looking okay. I guess we could get some benefits from getting Malevolent Ranger and buffing at least a few of those cannons up a little bit further. Anyway, you're going to sack this. Just auto-resolve it. This isn't worth fighting, it's just a pile of tier 1 gobos. I know it's Skarsnik gobos, but they're still just tier 1 gobos. I'm going to sack this. It's not for much, but I'm hoping that after it's been sacked, Tretch will be willing to take it this time. At tier, well, I guess 3, but still better than trading it to him at tier 1. He's still ordered to occupy it. It's really bizarre that he didn't attack it with Samoth Painbringer being right there to help him out, but I guess you're gonna stay right here, sir. And you're gonna heal up and we'll see. Hopefully he goes for it and we'll still stay right beside it to help if needed. But otherwise, this is the last turn. We'll waste our time here and we'll head out through the rebels to the... through the Dwarf Rebels, I mean, to Sylvania with you. Still gotta get your levels to Demon Princia up. Alright, who else needs to move this turn? Valmir? No, I've already vacillated about moving yet. Ooh, we're finally ready to get rid of these 2 spawn of Nurgle and replace them with 2 more. Soul Grinders of Nurgle. Was that? Okay. I just had to double check that I made 2 Soul Grinders of Nurgle rather than something else. Alright, looks good to me. That cripples our movement speed or movement range, but whatever. I guess we're going coastal. Like so. Rather than suffering attrition in the deep water. And go here. And then we'll land in Lamia. Now, Lamia itself may be a little bit of a tall order for now that I think about it, so maybe we're better off landing at Libaras and using it as a base. Fabrigure the Insane? I was thinking about borrowing an army. This army can... Oh, just by virtue of the presence of Ska Bloodtail, we can't loan the entire army? Oh, that's a little bit unfortunate. I was excited to get him on the field, but oh well, what can you do? Let's see who else. Glugmere, you just keep on standing here, guy. He's been here forever, but he's not really a lord. I was just thinking if Middenheim would get attacked, that he'd help out here, but at this point, we got a lot of chosen Chaos Warriors in this place, and it might not even be worth keeping you here. We'll wait a little bit, because who knows, these guys might bring a full stack to bear. But nonetheless, alright, techs. We are going through the Slaaneshi techs. Ooh, we are near to those sensuous gifts that we like. And we are going to go for, I guess, Summons of Slaanesh. Corrupted Offering seems relatively useless. All of the Offerings versions, like the Corruption bonuses, seems relatively useless. I mean, certainly you can rely on different types of corruptions to buff certain places. Like, for example, this place has Slaaneshi Corruption in giving us an additional income from buildings plus 10%. But with us being undivided, I fear that it just wouldn't do. The reason this place is so Slaaneshily corrupted is because of the presence of the Exquisite Pain. 1,000 gold from this one place, nice. That's like more than several Norscan factions combined. Oh, Norskins. But on top of that, this place has a Tower of Pleasure as well. Mostly I've been building the undivided places because they offer casualty or punishment trade. We'll probably build a few of these as well in our most... Well, I guess I was about to say in our most money-making provinces, but they're all roughly the same. Just because of the extra campaign movement range as well, even though Archaon is maxed out. Anyway, couple things we gotta do before we continue on, as in fight with the village. There's a couple more things I wanted to spend money on summoning. First of all, I guess we don't really have to do it now, but I kind of wanted just for fun. I was going to give Archaon one of the Great Chaos Dragons. I just feel like he should have one. It does, there isn't really a point to it. But 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, we already have 6 knights, and I think that's just fine. And goodbye to you. And let's get that Great Chaos Dragon. 1,000 gold per turn, eh? Horrifically expensive. But Archaon should definitely have the best of the best. Alright, and then this will also let us see whether we can get more of these guys on the field in other armies or not. Right now it's not visible here, but until next turn we won't have capacity for them anyway, since we only have 1 tier 5 settlement at the current time. So we'll have to see. Alrighty, and I believe it's time for Village to do some fighting once again, so Village, if I can find you here. Alright. Go to whatever stance, and I'm willing to bet that this guy would run if we tried to attack him, so go to Eckendorf directly. Although if it's low casualties, now Pyrrhic Victory and medium casualties. Alright, that's what I like to see. Village, let's level you up then. If the game says that that'll be a difficult enough fight to be worth fighting. Chaos Vanguard, still gonna be useful to you. These guys can go into Chaos Warriors as well. Like so. Alright, and these guys are still in here temporarily, so we will be deleting them eventually. I want at least 1 more Exalted Pink Horror. And how close are we to Aecold? We need 3 more units. Wait.
Magic of
Rank 4, rank 3. Okay, this army needs a couple more battles and they should be able to take us over the threshold for Aecold Hellbrass. That would be swell, and he can join Village's army. And Village will have all of the all of the Tzeentch heroes. They're gonna be a real Tzeentch army, but hey, it's sort of functioning as one anyway. Anyway, let's get a couple more points in Chaos Vanguard. Village rarely casts at the current time, so Fires of Change isn't super necessary. Blue Scribes, Cataclysm. Should be able to pop one in this particular battle. And then you, sir, you have Scouting maxed out, you have an Actual Change maxed out. Those are the ones we needed, the main ones, but let's also get Glittering Robe. And we'll probably want to get another point in Aura of Chaos for the additional missile defenses, because you're on that Chaos War Shrine, and that makes you vulnerable. Anyway, village, away you go. Alrighty, well, this is Village's destiny, and it is the destiny of Akendorf to fall. Probably again and again, as the ogres have taken it from the border princes, and we will take it from the ogres in their stead. Anyway, the battle begins. We're going to head through the breaches. Oh, they got some ogre hungerers in here. Interesting. What do we got on these guys? Replenishes hit points via Ravenous Hunger. Butcher's Frenzy affects allies, restores HP of nearby units if they're engaged in melee. Pretty interesting ability. We should try to make sure that we kill these guys off so that they don't heal. The Blob guarding the breach. Speaking of Blob and speaking of breach, we're heading through it, and we're going to go for a Death Star. And this time around, by which I mean all of our units will be fighting together where the breach is located, rather than making separate breaches. The reason for this is that what we're going to do is to protect our Mutaliths from the Lead Belchers and Ogre Pistols, but in particular the Ogre Pistols, which are very dangerous to the Mutaliths, which, as we can see, they've already dropped the Mutalith down to about, let's see, 3/4 of its HP, and the battle has only just begun, and those volleys are pretty devastating. In order to protect these guys, we'll be using the Death Star formation and then dropping our supportive spells on our allies. Also, you may have noticed that as soon as this piece of wall got destroyed, our our cockatrice disappeared. That's because it's dead. It instantly exploded by being either knocked back into this wall. Most likely that's what happened. And there's a bug in the game where sometimes if your units sort of move into the wall, they just instantly die, which is a little bit annoying. I remember it happened to a lord in my Torox campaign. A lord on a chariot was moving through a wall like this. I'm not even sure that he was attacking anything. So just moved in this and then instantly died. It was silly. And it was a new lord too that was just recruited, but I guess, Tzeentch screwed him over. Tzeentch does have a habit of screwing his followers over, much more so than the other Chaos Gods, so at least it's on brand for the Changer. Anyway, the enemy has clustered around the breach here, and we're going to have to slowly grind our way through them. The enemy is going to pop a Vissen's Wild Form to buff themselves up with some armor, but we've got Vissen's Wild Form available to ourselves with armor as well. And the Sacrifice will buff up our melee attack, and we got more supportive spells coming in shortly. This will hopefully allow the rest of our blob of units to slowly grind their way through the enemy without having to worry about the Mutaliths. And we're going to take a little bit of a leaf out of the enemy's book here, popping Toothcracker from the Ogre spell, getting more armor and missile resistance as well. And on top of that, we have been able to heal up one of our Mutaliths, so it's looking pretty okay now. I don't remember with what spell. I think it might have been an Apotheosis. But anyway, speaking of spells, spell work is coming down as the Piercing Bolts of Burning, the Army-bound ability, or Fires of Chaos, or whatever the heck the game calls them, come down on the biggest blob of enemies, and we'll follow that up with a rarely seen Hellhammer. I think this is the first Hellhammer we get through this campaign. There we go. looking pretty cool. Probably not going to do too much to the pile of ogres, because they, being monstrous infantry, they're fairly resistant to that sort of thing, but nonetheless. And as I said, the Changer may be willing to screw us over, but at the same time, the Changer is in our corner in the sense that we sort of lucked out here. In that Village's army, the one with tons of halberds, are the ones facing off against the ogres, which is, well, it's working for us in that regard. We've also got a little bit of range support coming in. Pink, blue, and exalted pink horrors firing on the enemy lead belchers, getting them down to about half HP and continuing to do so, though a lot of the shots from these guys are missing by the looks of it. Accuracy is pretty poor, and the fact that the enemy once again is a monstrous infantry unit is not helping. The enemy continues to hold the breach, and we continue trying to make our way through it. Looks like our buffs are out, but we got more where that came from as needed. Although it looks like, at the very least, with the enemy ogre pistols out and the enemy lead belchers pretty much out. I'm sure they'll be routing in a couple of seconds. Wavering, damage sustained, and see a few more drop and the rest are out. Beautiful. Now the mutoliths are safe from being gunned down, at least. And there's no guarantee that we'll roll another Apotheosis or Fleshy Abundance or Earth Blood or Regrowth or anything of that nature, so we do gotta keep our big boys in good health. Anyway, we're finally making our way through. It looks like the enemy has failed to hold the breach. Of course, this isn't the end of the battle, sort of the middle of it. It's not the beginning, but we've still got a fight on our hands here, or our miscellaneous appendages. Many a miscellaneous appendage in this army, after all. Alright, how are our mutoliths looking? Alright, this one's, yeah, they're both roughly at full HP, which is looking pretty good. As long as we don't get any more bad luck, like the poor cockatrice suffered with regards to the bug that's insta-kills them from full HP. Damn that wall. And then we should be fine. As we can clearly see, the rest of our army is in pretty darn good health. One unit of spawn is hurt, having lost one unit, and maybe a quarter of its HP, but if we heal it up, it'll be fine, and it's only lost a single unit out of 24, so that's really not a problem. There is an enemy barricade, or no, it's a platform in our way, which is actually heavily damaged, and we should be able to bring it down fairly quickly. I missed it, but I did have the blue scribes pop a blade wind on the platform, which destroyed or heavily damaged one of the units of Noblar trappers, whose corpses we can see below. And looks like some Clan Eshin units as well. Or was it probably not Clan Eshin? I saw some rat units in here. Well, Clan something. Scryer maybe? No, wait, Scryer's our vassal. I guess it doesn't really matter. Anyway, the rats are done, and we move to fight more ogres as a Firebelly leads more ogre bulls into the fray. There is another Slaughtermaster here as well, and a decent amount of units remain. And speaking of enemy units, there is a Man-Eater and another unit of Man-Eaters with ogre pistols, which is going to start taking volleys at our mutoliths. There we go, a volley comes in, dropping the mutolith by about 5 to 10% of its HP and reducing its barrier to nothing. We're going to pop a Treason of Zinch from Village himself, which will reduce the enemy stats fairly significantly, including the reload skill and missile damage, so hopefully that'll help the mutoliths not get gunned down too quickly. And we can start sort of rolling through spells, milling through spells, casting as much as we can. Talons of Night, still one of the coolest looking spells in the game. Casting lots of spells in order to try to get heals, because we're going to need them. Every volley from those darn ogre pistols is going to be a lot of damage into our mutoliths, especially considering they don't have any, they don't have regen on them. A Vile Tide comes in through the blobs of enemy Noblars in the background, though that hardly matters as they're not really much of a threat. One of our mutoliths is down to nearly half HP now, and we gotta keep milling. Flaming Sword of Ruin to buff the rest of our blob of units. And once again, when you're using the Death Star tactic, you have all of these buffs to be able to help everybody out. Pretty much the entire blob, so that's great. Keep on casting blue scribes, we really... Ah, there it is. Finally, we managed to roll a fleshy abundance and get a little bit of HP rolling back on that Mutalith. And it's recovering it quite quickly, which is great. The fleshy abundance heals quite a lot, and once again, plays into the whole Death Star thing that we've got going right here. And the enemy Slaughtermasters are certainly too low level, or were too low level. One of them at least is dead already. And to threaten us with spell work. How much spell resistance do we have here, incidentally? Chaos Warriors have 25%, which ain't too bad. Another Treason of Tzeentch comes down, another reason for Village to keep casting. Maybe I should have gotten him Fires of Change after all for the additional ward save. But oh well, not a big deal, and the enemy Slave Giant moves in as well. We're exchanging fire now as the pink and blue horrors go for the Slave Giant, while the enemy's Noblar Trappers target our Mutaliths. That said, the Mutaliths are more or less fine now, and the enemy Giant will probably have a pretty bad day under fire from all of our horrors. Or at least I would imagine so. It's still got a massive amount of resistances. 50% missile resistance, and, well, the physical doesn't matter here, but 50% missile. Pretty darn decent. Not to the degree of our own giants with their buffs, perhaps, but that's still going to prevent us from doing a crazy amount of damage to it with our range units. But they can spread their fire a little bit to various other units as well. And we got some pretty good positioning here as well, as the enemy aren't really doing anything. Ah, there we go, the giant is dropping now. Not really doing anything to the piles of range units. And it looks like the battle is pretty much ours. A Flock of Doom comes down, a Fog of the Damned comes down as well, reducing the melee attack of the enemies to basically nothing to everyone in the fog. There's fog and fire, and the enemy is pretty much done for. The giant tries to book it on out of there, but will melt under fire from the horrors, and the battle is ours. Man, whenever fighting a battle with the blue scribes, it almost feels like just listing piles of spells. Like half of my commentary is just naming spells, which is, I don't know. Maybe I should stop calling every single one out, but I suppose when we're in a Death Star like this, there's not much to say about the battle tactically, other than what spells are going down, and it's kind of hard to tell when we're in the cinematic mode anyway, so yeah. Anyway, nice little fight. Sorry to the cockatrice, but, well, I don't control the bugs, only Tzeentch does. And I guess he screwed over the bird today. Alright, well, the battle itself was easy enough. Unfortunately, we did lose our cockatrice, but, well, we can get one back at any point with the Gifts of Chaos, and I was never sure I actually wanted one in this army. I do really like the debuffs that it offers, however, will it have space? I mean, assuming that Akold takes its place... Yeah, we could probably still have it. I mean, if we assume that we replace both of the Marauder Horsemen of Tzeentch, one with an Exalted Pink Horror, the other one with Akold, then we could still have a Cockatrice. Alright, well, my bet on that one, you gotta pay attention, folks, I guess. Let's sacrifice those captives, and then let's occupy it. I always feel so strange when when an ogre territory has walls as well. I wanted to check whether we could actually head to Barrack Dawa's bag, but wait, actually, we could if we wanted to. We could also grab Matorka camp if we wanted to. I guess the question is, do we want to? We might actually want to raise another army here, just like a sort of basic force full of garbage troops that we can use to occupy stuff when Village does something like this, so that he doesn't have to waste his time with regards to not fighting in multiple places. Hey, you know what? I think we'll occupy Akendorf right now. We want the pastures here anyway. For those Warhounds and Manticores, do we immediately get the Cockatrice? We very well could. And we have space for them. I also could put a Soul Grinder of Tzeentch in here. Now, do the Soul Grinders of Tzeentch have any kind of auras that they offer? No, it doesn't look like it. Unlike the Soul Grinders of Slaanesh, which have the Enfeeble Attack ability. And these guys are just attackers, and I mean, they would certainly work with the range units here, but I feel like we could build another army around them, and maybe we give them to Bellicor instead. Although, yeah, he's going to run out of space, but, it's certainly a possibility. I'll think about it. Yeah, what we'll want to do is summon a unit, but probably not at Vrenka Hills because it's got a Skaven Plague on it. Do we have any Tzeentch Lords available? Not that it really... no. I mean, I guess we also don't have to necessarily have a Tzeentch Lord follow you. And do we... oh, they start at rank low. We could resummon you. You're at rank 12, and you are a Chaos Sorcerer Lord, so we could devote you to Tzeentch if we want another Tzeentch army here. And I'm not 100% sure that we do, so that there's some difference in the types of armies that fight here. You know, let's get you on the field for now. We can use it to occupy stuff, and I'll think about it. I'm gonna have to take a look at what type of armies we still have that haven't really had the chance to do much, or at least what type of units still need to shine in this campaign. There's certainly several demonic unit types, so we should probably build a few armies around them. Ooh, Twisted Towers. You get to be tier 5. I missed you. We're gonna have to take a look at a few things here. Fallen King Mountain. Do we really care about you? Not really, but I'm just gonna build this because it bothers me to see these available. Marauder Horseman. Really, leadership for Marauder Horseman? That's all the dies do? Wow, dies are also terrible. It seems like there's a big tendency for the various trade goods to buff Marauder Horseman, which is a complete waste in my opinion, but whatever. Alright, Twisted Relics, just gonna keep building these everywhere so I don't have to see these at the end of every single turn. And Hag Hall, we will keep you because we do want that cultist camp. Gotta keep up in those Manticores and Warhounds, both of which are quite nice. Alright, that's all the stuff built. I did the diplomacy between the episodes, so we're ready to end the turn, unless there's a gift that we have to swap around, but I don't believe that we do. We have Bloom of Decay, we have Death's Bounty, everything looks good to me. Alright then, skip, Path to Glory, Outpost upgrades. We do have money for Outposts, but depending on how many tier 5s we need to upgrade next turn, I think we'll save that. Valkia, what are you waiting for? Oh, you need your second Exalted Hero, and ooh, you're rank 7. Oh, you need to rank 8 to get into Knights? Alright, well, we're getting there. It'll take time, but we're getting there. Commandment available at the Frigid Wasteland, and we'll keep the Bloody Barracks here for one turn to allow Jaeger to move. Also, since Marathi's in trouble, we may send Jaeger through the Underworld Sea in order to move here and immediately help her out. This would probably allow Kolek to continue fighting the Lizards rather than having to police Marathi's territory, which might be the better option. Kawark, we will need to trade to Nagaron, but we can do that later. Switch you to the queue. They've come to the wrong place. And end the turn. Also, I didn't check how many more turns do... oh. Serena. Catherine. Yeah, bye. He was dead anyway. Oh, 3.6k out of that. Well, at least one final gift from Kislev. A little bit of cash. I won't say no to that. Will the elves anywhere attack us anywhere? By the looks of it, they will not, though I do believe Gilgallion will probably have landed, and we're going to have to send an army to deal with him. If we don't send Jaeger through the Underworld Sea, then we can do that. Now, Tretch says, really, you've moved away from Mount Gunbad, which we sacked, and therefore, ugh. I hate vassals. I hate them so much. What the heck is wrong with you, man? Alrighty. Well, that was unexpected. Heinrich Kemmler will declare war on us. Huh. Why? I mean, sure, but why? Okay, sure, buddy, sure. Go ahead. Good luck with that. I mean, we're going to attack him anyway, I guess, so it's a little bit of a preemptive thing, but surprised that he has done so, whereas Vlad has not, considering Vlad's the second most powerful faction. Anyway, I scored destroyed confederation between Avalorn and Illyrian, which means Gilgallion is now part of Avalorn, and yeah, these guys, they're landing here. Malekith. Oh. And Wulfric. Frankly, I doubt that they'd fight you. Most likely our armies will run an Evrescent Safari. Oh, looks like the elves, the high elves specifically, are consolidating. Interesting. Ally loses outpost in Montenas. Oh, yes, our other beastmen have fallen. Well, that's a shame. Lothar Blood Reaper. Journey complete Chant, Journey complete Malefics. Long victory achieved from the destruction of Kislev. And short victory should have been achieved as well for capacity of heroes, which is great. Now, there we go. So we get a little bit of Winds of Magic Power Reserve per turn and more XP. I frankly should have probably done that earlier to get the additional XP rate. That was a little bit of a blunder on my part, but, well, what can you do? Oh, Valkia can cross here into the Plane of Dogs. Could help against Clan Gritus if needed. Ooh. You know who Valkia wants to fight? Tyrion. Although Azazel can reach him. No, he can't. He's very close, though. Well, the Temptator has some temptation here. I really would like to see Valkia duel Tyrion. There's no way that Azazel can handle him in a one-on-one. Valkia is a different story, though. But she is quite far, eh? Well, either way, there's a lot of stuff to take care of, but I think this is probably going to be a pretty good place to call it, so call it I shall. I'll do all the admin needed between the episodes, and then next time we can just continue with fights. And Citadel of Lead, preventing us from chasing down Otharion, eh? Ooh. Ah, damn, I was hoping we could somehow get Valmir the defeat trade, but since Citadel of Lead doesn't have a port, we won't be able to land here, will we? Really too bad. They should have... Too bad that this thing isn't a port, but oh well. Anyway, I'm gonna call it here. Next time we, well, look for more enemies all over the place. Archaon will... Just out of curiosity, he can reach Prague, can't he? Or actually, can he? No, he's at max movement range, and it looks like he's just short of it. Huh. On the bright side, it does seem to mean that he can move in summoning stance and regular stance, and they're roughly the same for him, so that's great. But we will need other armies here. I was going to send Chant around to Krakadrag to grab this fortress at the same time as we grab Prague, and then hopefully quickly force vassalize Wintertooth after having both dark fortresses. But there may need to be some work. Anyway, those are all problems we'll deal with next time, plus all of the other territories which our new armies are approaching. Still plenty of battles to be had, still various armies that we have to try out, so stay tuned for more Archie. Don't forget to leave those likes and comments below, especially to Threshold. All glory to the algorithm, and I guess congratulations to us for beating Aluin's streak, or at the very least matching Aluin's streak. All glory to the algorithm. And thanks for watching.